Hi, everyone. Today we are learning about two colonies that were founded by religious dissenters, or some might just call them rebels. We're going to talk about how, even though they believed in the Puritan spiritual beliefs that founded Massachusetts, they did not really believe in the political beliefs that Massachusetts was found with. So, first, let's talk about vocabulary. We have a few terms that I just want to make sure we fully understand before we get into the video and before we get into our textbook. First is the term religious dissenters. So, a dissenter is someone who disagrees with something. So, a religious dissenter would be someone who disagrees with a religion. So, one great example of that would be the Puritans who ended up fleeing from England because they did not agree with the Church of England. Then they came to Massachusetts and formed their own Puritan theocracy. At that point, we then have religious dissenters who disagree with them. Those are going to be three that we talk about today: Roger Williams, Anne Hutchinson, and Thomas Hooker. Our second term is banished. Banished means to be sent away or banned or forced to leave. So the three people that were, or two of the three people that we're talking about today, were banished from Massachusetts because they were not following the Puritan laws that founded Massachusetts. Our last one is religious tolerance. So, tolerance we know is if you are tolerating your sibling, that means that even if you don't like what they're doing, you are allowing them to do it. You're not, banishing them from your room. You're being tolerant. So, religious tolerance is tolerating someone else's religion, even if you do not agree with it. So, the two colonies we're talking about today, Rhode Island and Connecticut, are both religiously tolerant. All right, let's start with Rhode Island. So, Rhode Island was founded by Roger Williams, and Roger Williams was a Puritan minister from England. He fully believed in the spiritual beliefs that founded Massachusetts, but he believed that there should be a separation between church and state. So, this means that he did not believe that the church should have a say in the laws, and he did not believe that the government should be able to tell you which religion you should follow. He also did not agree with some of the treatment of Native Americans in Massachusetts and fully believed that they should be paid for their land and resources. And eventually, he was banished from Massachusetts because he would not stop speaking out about his beliefs. So that led to the creation of Rhode Island. Sorry, my dog keeps trying to get in the frame. One other person who fled Massachusetts and came to Rhode Island was Anne Hutchinson. So Anne Hutchinson fled England and went to Massachusetts. She was a big part of the Puritan church there, and she actually started teaching people in her home. She would have women and eventually also men joined. They would come to her home and they would discuss the sermons for that week. They would read the Bible, and she would share more and more of her own thoughts. Turns out her thoughts did not always align with the Puritan beliefs. For example, she believed that each person could have their own personal relationship with God and that you did not have to rely on a minister or preacher to tell you what was right. She believed that you could read the Bible for yourself and interpret it. And as long as you were honest with your relationship with God, then you would still have salvation and you wouldn't have to worry about everything that the church was doing. She also obviously believed that women were just as fit to teach as men were whenever it came to religion, but this was not something that was supported throughout the whole colony. The governor ended up arresting her, and she lost her case in court, and she was banished from Massachusetts and went to Rhode Island. Unfortunately, the governor did not give up then. He ended up sending people to Rhode Island to question her more and more. And eventually she fled there and went to New Amsterdam. She was a huge part of the culture that really grew from Rhode Island and that religious tolerance. And now there's even a parkway and a river named after her. So even though the governor did all of that work to try to stop her, her influence could not be denied. And that leads us to Connecticut. Connecticut was founded by Thomas Hooker, who was a Puritan minister. He again, fully believed in the spiritual beliefs, but did not believe in the political beliefs of Massachusetts. He thought that every white man should be able to vote, and it should not matter if you owned land or believed or were a part of the Puritan church. He still thought that if you were a white man, your vote should count. So he helped create the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. And this was a document that ended up influencing eventually the Articles of Confederation and the US Constitution. So this was considered the first written constitution in the colonies, and it outlined the representative government that we now use today, just with a few tweaks here and there. So, your assignment for today, now that you have watched this introduction video, all you have to do is open up your textbook. You're going to read page 12 and use it to answer all of page 13. You want to do that compare and contrast table and the rapid recall. Then you're going to look at Kittim. There's one short video that goes more in depth about Rhode Island, and you are going to answer those questions on Kittim. Have a great day, y'all.